Good morning and welcome Sunday mornings business owners with me, Leon Street. And today I've got another exciting topic to cover with you. And I guess this one, it came out of thoughts around what I'm currently doing in my business and I guess what I'm doing in my life. And I thought it'd be interesting to explore this with, you guys, just to get your thoughts, your own feedback, share some insights that I have, and potentially and hopefully it will help you to accelerate and grow and move in your business and life to where you want to be. Why mindset is the difference between average and great in business and how you can use it. It's something that I guess a lot of people talk about kind of like on the fly. But it takes a while to really bed in when you're not locked in to, I guess, what your vision for your life is meant to be and therefore your business. And for me, getting very clear on this it's a big step towards, a lot of things that you'll have to deal with as a human being, never mind being a business owner. And I think the more you get into business and the more you focus on what it is that you want to achieve in business, the more you realize that it's not just about latest technology trends, strategies, tactics, and different things. Because if you're not in the game, if your mind is not in the game, your business isn't really going to drive forward, no matter how much you talk your business up, no matter how much you try and convince yourself. And for me, when you're not in the game, you can move into this place of delusion and collusion. So you delude yourself and you collude with yourself. And I've been there many times. And, for me, in terms of what it takes to go to that next level, it is all around mindset. And there's probably a step before that. And I've spoken about that on previous live streams, on my Sunday live streams, around what you need to really take on board when it comes to understanding, I guess, your unconscious and your subconscious, and therefore being able to affect your conscious thoughts and move into this higher place of intuition and observation. And, if you haven't seen my previous live streams, go to my YouTube channel and check those out because it will be worthwhile. But today, I really want to dig into, I guess, what a lot of people understand, which is, when you're not in this place of spiritual awareness or even self-awareness, most people do understand the concept of mindset. And so I wanted to cover that today. And I've got some points that I want to share with you that are going to help you to understand what it is, I guess, perhaps that you'll need in order to go to that next level. And I've got some slides I'm going to share with you so you can probably see on the screen. If you've got any questions as I'm going through this as well, guys, do post a comment below the video. We'll come back to all the comments as I usually do and respond to every one of them. So why mindset is the difference between average and great in business and how you can use it to your advantage, more importantly. And so before I go any further, guys, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please go and subscribe. Just go over to youtube.com and look for Leon Street, LeonStreete, the silent E at the end. And make sure you click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell if you're not already subscribed, and you'll be notified of all the latest videos. There's a bunch of videos on there, but let me get into this first of all. So I'm talking about mindset. And I'm also eager to understand what your thoughts are. Like, what's your number one tip when it comes to mindset as a business owner? Like, what gets you through, or what makes things happen for you? Because it doesn't happen by magic, and I'm sure most of you know that, whether you're an established business owner or just getting into business. Perhaps, what's happened with, the recession and various things happening because of this pandemic. You may have being made redundant, or you're looking at setting up your business finally because you just want to make some change. But I'm interested to understand what you think is the number one, I guess, kind of tip, or I don't know, the number one insight you'd share around what mindset means, or what you think people need to understand about mindset and winning. But let me get into this. So Dr. Dweck coined the terms fixed mindset and growth mindset to describe the underlying beliefs people have about learning and intelligence. And what she discovered when she was doing some, I guess, kind of research and, testing out these theories is when students believe they can get smarter, they understand that effort makes them stronger. Therefore, they put in extra time and effort that leads to higher achievement. So it's described in a linear way, i.e., you put in extra effort and it leads to higher achievement. So I guess that's the kind of basic model. But as a business owner, there's nothing in business that's linear. It's not like you say, here's steps 1 to 10, and when you get to 10, you become, a super duper billionaire. No, it doesn't work like that. So it's not as linear, because sometimes, and I'm guessing a lot of you business owners who are watching this right now, you can probably relate. You probably work all the hours, that, as I say, God gives you. Yeah, you work 168 hours a week. You probably, obviously I'm saying that with a bit of fun, because obviously you sleep, you got a family and whatever, but every hour that you have available to you, you might be working, I don't know, 80 to 100 hours a week, let's say, and you get some sleep and some life in between that. But let's say you work, I don't know, 60 to 80 anyway. So it's a lot of hours, right? And you've put so much effort in. And according to the research from Dr. Dweck, that should lead to higher achievement. But what can happen is you can work all the hours that are available to you, but you can hit your head up against a brick wall. Yeah. And you may have experienced this. So the thing is, in business, you're faced with many challenges, some that are what you must overcome, i.e. problems, and others are connected to what you choose to become, i.e. goals. So you're going to have a mix of different things happening. So you're going to have problems, you're going to have goals, i.e. where you desire to be part of your vision. However, if your head's not in the game, you'll succumb to that part of your brain, the ego, that will pull you back in towards failure. And so this is why I was saying, things aren't just linear. You can't just keep working harder and expect things just to work out. And I guess, if you've been in business a little while, you probably understand that. And I just wanted to share that so people don't get mixed up and think, I've got this mindset thing sorted now. I can just work harder and it's going to work. Because I've been there working many hours and, not picking up the kind of results that I needed, or the salary that I needed, the income that I needed. And it becomes a really depressing place. You probably even start to suffer from things like anxiety, negative mindset, fixed mindset. So you're going for a growth mindset, but you fall back into fixed because the results aren't coming, right? And so what can you do to counter that? Well, let me share with you. I've got some tips. I've got some actionable steps that you can take. So here's the first one. So the first step that I guess that you can take is the voice, the one in your head, the one that talks you out of things, the ego. And this is probably the biggest challenge. And I'm going to go out there and say, I believe this is the number one challenge that every business owner faces. It's just that other business owners, the ones we see as successes, or the ones that we look into and think, wow, they've done amazing things, they've got a hold on this. They've got a handle on it. They've got a way to tackle and deal with the ego. And one of the biggest things, Margot, thanks for jumping on. Good morning to you. One of the biggest things I think when it comes to that voice is you've got to understand how to get to a place of, I guess, quietness and observation. And it's an easier thing said than it is done, because when you want to achieve, let's say, this growth mindset, and you're being challenged by problems, you're being pulled back by responsibilities and even thoughts of how you should do stuff, compared to you taking the time to find clarity to realize that actually you don't need to do it that way and there is a better way, or you can just drop that thing altogether. You really have to focus on, well, what is this thing to do with the ego? Because there's a lot of people who say, well, the ego is good because it helps you to, really go for things and show up for things and just, take that energy and all these other things to the next level. There are instances where that is true, but when you're doing it from a place of ego and you're not doing it from a place of higher, the ego, which is kind of like this unruly kid, this voice in your head, it will run amok and it will really set you up for failure. And so one of the things, I guess, what you've got to do with this voice in your head is you've got to find clarity, you've got to find space and peace, ultimately. I was watching this interview recently by Russell Brand and this spiritual guru leader called Muji. And it was really interesting to watch. And I just want to share a quick insight. And I can see there's another comment by Richard Chan. I'll come to you in a moment, Richard. But they were sharing this real great insight. And Russell Brand, if you don't know him, he's got a huge following on YouTube, like over 2.5 million subscribers. He's a Hollywood actor. He's a British comedian by default, and he shares a lot of different things about life and whatever. But he in the interview asks Mooji to actually do like this guided meditation. So controlling the voice, one way is looking at it through doing meditation. You'll hear a lot of people talk about this: sports stars, Hollywood stars, top business stars, let's say, let's call them. They talk about meditation, but in this interview, he asks Mooji to deliver a guided meditation. And the point that I want to give you guys is, in his explanation of what's going on with the meditation, what he says is that if you can put yourself in this place of meditation, it's not like you're going to go to this, top of a mountain and go, you can do it in your house, you can do it in your office, wherever. You can do it in your car if you want to. But he says the biggest thing is, imagine if what's going on in your life and what you're seeing, you can take a step back and just observe it, not react to it, not get emotional about it, just observe it and just see what happens. Yeah. And I guess this is the step and the tip that I wanted to give you. Whether you've meditated or not, if you can just observe what's going on in your life, but not react to it and just see what happens and let it just, pass by, that's how you find clarity. But what happens is we put energy and fuel into our emotions and thoughts and what's going on in our lives and environment, because we don't just observe, we react. Yeah, we respond. And most of the time when you're responding with that voice in your head, you're not responding from a place of clarity. You're responding from like an unruly kid who is just driven by different emotions. Whether you're a calm person or not, it doesn't matter. So the first step for me is start looking at what's going on with the voice. Second step, emotions. I kind of mentioned that as well. Emotions, and I guess this is some work that I've looked at with myself, having, worked on this. Look, there are times when emotions are going to drive your business to levels of success that you hadn't imagined. And there are times when those emotions are going to pull you back to a place where you thought you'd never go back to. And, this is the kind of pendulum swinging of being a human being. Yeah, emotions. And emotions are simply past experiences that you are reusing to cope with, because without understanding and establishing different emotions, having gone through experiences, there's no way you'll know really how to live a life. But when you look at emotions and interacting with other human beings and being in business, whether you interact with your team members, with clients, suppliers, whatever it is, are the emotions that you're using right now serving you? Yeah, because just because you feel a certain way, because you've chosen that emotion in that moment, doesn't mean that that's the thing that needs to serve you. So there's times, and I'll give a story when I'm with my children. I'm speaking to my little 7-year-old daughter, and she's having a little fight with her teenage brother. He's 13, and she's chosen to get really kind of like worked up and like and also sad, but it's kind of like this snowball. And I've said to her, like, Renee, like, Ruben is winding you up. And don't get me wrong, guys, I've had to have a word with my son. He's 13, he's at that age, the teenage age where he's a wind-up merchant, as they say. But anyway, I'm speaking to my daughter who's 7, and I calm her down by saying, Renee, it's okay, just sit here next to me. And then what I say to her is, look, you don't have to be sad. Remember, he's winding you up, and you know that as well. I'm like, do you see what he's doing to wind you up? And she's like, yes, Daddy, I do. And then I've said to her, so can you choose to be happy instead and just say, it's okay, Ruben, I don't need that thing, whether he's, took her phone, changed something on the TV or whatever it is, right? And even at this young age of 7, she's realized that actually she can switch her emotions in a moment. Obviously, it takes a bit of time with me helping her through that. But imagine yourself, what emotions are you using on autopilot that you haven't realized that you can switch from being sad to happy or angry to excited, or realizing I can leave that alone. That's not serving me, or that's not going to help my business go forward. And this is the point that I wanted to raise. So emotions, make sure you're using the right ones that fit your life now, not yesterday, last year, or what you believe, just like right now. So Richard said, need to get out of thinking the same. If you have the same inputs, it's highly likely that outputs are going to be the same. Exactly. But the thing is, it that hits the nail on the head, but it's deeper, because when you don't come from this place of understanding what's going on with the voice in your head, the emotions you think you need to be using, the emotions you feel you need to be using, and you realize that actually these are just past experiences from this kind of egoic place, the mind, that you're using out of habit, but you're not using out of what is necessary in the moment. And this is why, there's a lot of business owners out there who hit, let's say, like a reasonable level of success, like that. Let's say they do like 100,000, and they stay there, they hover there. And it's because they never get to this place of understanding that actually I need to be using different emotions, or I need to use different ways to tackle different problems, or even the problems that have been lingering, but because you've been using the same emotions, the same responses to it, they haven't dissipated, they haven't gone away, or you haven't overcome them. So there's the first two. Here's the third one: focus. So have you ever heard business owners say to you, focus, that's what you need? Or you've said to yourself, yeah, I need more focus, I need more consistency. See, the thing is, without understanding the voice and the emotions you use, you'll never be focused. And the reason is you'll be driven by your ego. That is such a powerful tool that your brain has over you and uses to help you through life. And if you know what the ego is, it's a mechanism designed to protect. And it goes into, I guess, overdrive when there's nothing really there for it to protect. So what it does, it starts protecting based on emotions and psychology, right? And so for me, you can follow one course to be successful in business, so long as you have the voice in check, the ego, and your emotions. And if you look at it from this respect, when you're in business, go 1 inch wide and go 1 mile deep on the topic that you help people to solve, the problem that you help your audience, your customers to solve. And I guarantee you that's where you'll find your success, because your mindset will be focused. It will be driven to help your audience, to help you go to that next level. One of the biggest things is, when you keep seeing opportunities and they come from, every angle, you got the magpie syndrome, bright, shiny objects, and you see opportunities, but none of them relate to what your core thing is, because you've lost focus. And you start seeing other things because they appear exciting, because where you are is probably stuck or challenged in the business that you're in. And the follow one course until successful focus is what's necessary in order to, achieve mindset that will be growth mindset, because you're focused on what's necessary, and you'll find the opportunities within the, I guess, the area that you help people. And I was speaking to somebody recently, and they were saying, I'm not sure how to come up with new content ideas to put marketing messages out there. And it was simply because they weren't focused on the topic. They were looking at the surface level, but not going deep. And that's why the 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep analogy is perfect. Right. Next tip for mindset: education. If you want to keep that growth mindset, you've got to be willing to seek help and not do it alone. And I see this many times with business owners who do end up in this place of, fixed mindset, struggling, depressed, anxiety, sad, frustrated, pissed off, like all these different things. And, you've got to be willing to skill up to go to that next level. You can't get to a place where you think, look, I've just read a book, and this book means that I'm now, a genius. No, there's always different levels you'll go to. And the reasons why there's different levels is because each time you overcome, I guess, habitual emotions or the ways that you tackle life, your education will mean something different to you, because each time you level up with your mind, what you learn new will also level up, because it will have a different meaning to you. Yeah. So education is critical to your growth mindset. Structure. I love this one, because this is something that I've spoken to my clients with. And when I talk about structure, time, progress, and being accountable, and I'm going to dig into this one a little bit. So I was speaking to one of my clients, and he was craving freedom. Like most entrepreneurs, that's why we run our own business. We want to be in control. We want to be free to choose and do what we want, right? And I was saying to him, based on where you're at, the results you're getting, you are not experiencing freedom, and you're experiencing being trapped and prodded and poked and pushed into a corner, because you don't have structure. Whereas what he thought structure to be was almost like being in jail. Yeah. And what he didn't realize is that creating the structure would give him the results that he wanted, i.e., freedom. So when you're looking at, I guess, going to that next level with mindset, structure is your friend. So whether it means you've got to have a schedule, a weekly schedule, you've got to start planning out the next year, the next 18 months. I did an interview before interviewing this top entrepreneur called Jack Daly, a very successful guy. And I remember it was almost like a light bulb moment for me. And in the interview, he said, the way that I live my life is I plan it 18 months ahead. I split 1/3 into life and family and home, 1/3 into business, and 1/3 into flexi time and training. Yeah, meaning that he could train himself and, different training experiences. And I remember at the time thinking like, wow, like how do you plan 18 months ahead for all those different things? And what I realized is that what he was doing is creating structure. He was creating the space to understand what needed to be done in all the key areas of his life, but also left room when unexpected things happened or wanted to do different things like holidays or just spend time with his family, his grandchildren, and whatever else. And that's what will help you to get freedom, guys. It's not going to put you in jail. It's going to give you freedom by having more structure in your life. So structure can also mean that you create the space to be unpredictable, to create new ideas, to innovate. So it doesn't mean being locked down. Above the line, this is a principle I came across when I had my first business coach when I was 28. And above the line simply means ownership, accountability, and responsibility. It falls on your shoulders as the business owner. The more you accept it, the further you will go, guys. And it's that simple. If you want to go into a place of blame, excuses, and denial, you'll be in bed. Blame, excuses, and denial. And that's where you fail. Yeah, that's where you stay stagnant. That's where you hit the brick wall constantly and it feels like life will never change. So play above the line, guys. Be victorious. And I guess finally, this is my last one for today. Letting go. What doesn't serve you? Who doesn't serve you? And not to be caught up in your echo chamber of your own reality distortion field. So I've got a few points in this one. So I just want to share this one and break it down a little bit just so you understand, because this is a really cool one. So what doesn't serve you? What emotions, what behaviors, what habits? Like you can take and do an inventory on yourself. You don't have to just keep doing things the way you've always done them. Yeah, because that doesn't mean that that's going to give you the success to life. And especially if you've been doing these things and you're not getting to the next level, you haven't, elevated yourself. So look at what doesn't serve you, because sometimes this inventory of using your mindset is you. So as I say, what habits, what emotions, what activities are you doing that they're not serving you, and it's time to say, goodbye. You got to let them go. Who doesn't serve you? So what people around you, what people in your team, what people in your let's say your fan base. Yeah, do you have the right fans, people, cheerleaders, people supporting you and driving you forward? So if there are people around you that don't serve you, do you need to simply just spend less time with them, especially if they're family or someone, or just take an inventory on who is it that you're around and start to look at, well, what people do you need to be around? Obviously it's a bit more difficult right now with social lockdown, and in the UK they've reintroduced by law that I think you can only mix with 6 people from 6 different households type of thing. So you may not be around certain people, but perhaps you can follow people on YouTube, like me. But seriously, maybe you need to follow, different people you connect with, whether it's on social media, and, have some Zoom calls, join a mastermind, join a coaching program or group coaching program with other people who would think like that, with a growth mindset, stuff like that. And then finally, the one where I say not to be caught up in your own echo chamber. Sometimes we try and cut out people whose opinions we don't, I guess, agree with. And this kind of came up this week, which is why I included this one. I put a post out about this lockdown, or the second wave of coronavirus, which has been officially announced by our Prime Minister, whether you're, a big believer in this stuff or not. And I put the post out. I always know when I share things around politics and stuff, it's the ones that get the most interaction and comments. And somebody shared in there that they were a big believer in that, we should be locked down, and, it's getting worse and blah, blah, blah. And somebody else shared another opinion based on their experience of some results they'd seen that are kind of opposing to her opinion. It wasn't personal. It was just sharing their opinion. and there was no personal attack. And this person ended up kind of ranting, more comments, getting personal, and then in the end, they removed their comment on my post. And the point that I want to get to is you don't want to be caught up in your own echo chamber. And just because you don't agree with somebody else's opinion, doesn't mean that you have to cut other people out or other, let's say, messages out. And I'll explain why. Because there is a time to do that when it becomes personal, when it doesn't serve you. But the reason why I say it's not always good to be caught up in your own echo chamber is because sometimes you're turning off opinions because your emotions can't handle what's being said. Yeah. Rather than understanding what other people are thinking or bring to the market. Because if you can't understand that perhaps your emotions have got the better of you because you don't agree with somebody else's opinion, yeah, and therefore you decide, I don't agree, I don't want to see it, I cut it out, you might get caught up in your own echo chamber of thinking, the world is one way when actually it's another way. And the reason why I share that is because that can happen with your clients, not understanding them and their opinion, your suppliers or your greater community. And that's why it's important. And the part of the reality distortion field that comes from, it's been popularized by how Steve Jobs used to think. He would put himself in this place of, here is my reality, this is the reality I'm creating, I don't accept this, I don't accept that. And what he would do is create this field, almost like this bubble of, here's how I do things. And it can serve you, but that's not to say that you shouldn't allow the opinion of other people, because that can also serve you even greater. Because you may think one way, but other people can bring different thoughts, different ideas to you to help you probably not see what your mind is blocking you from. And that's the final one that I wanted to leave you with, guys, because running a business isn't easy. And I'm hopefully giving you these 7 steps that you can use, or tips, just to simplify your approach of looking at you, looking at yourself. Michael Jackson created the song The Man in the Mirror. He's talking about how you look at yourself, and if what you're doing is true to who you are and what you need to achieve what it is you want to do in life. And quite easily we get caught up in so many different things. And I've shared a few stories today because I want you to understand that, this growth mindset isn't a linear thing. It's a dynamic, ever-changing thing because of how we respond to different situations, scenarios, and the environment. And the one thing I will say is that if you do want to, achieve greatness in your business and go from average to great, don't look at it as steps 1 to 10. Look at it with, how can I take care of my mindset continually, put the right structures in place, understand the voice that's going in my head, understand the emotions, and being in a place of ownership, accountability, and responsibility constantly, to the point where it becomes like it becomes like breathing. You just do it naturally. And that's the point in this. It shouldn't be a struggle. It should be something that you work on so that it becomes a habit. It becomes something you grow out of, guys. So hopefully that's made sense. Just wanted to share my bit on a Sunday morning, get you ready for the final part of your weekend, but more importantly for the week ahead, guys. So Richard, seeing the world through your own biases and opinions, breath, and see how the world looks. Breathe and see how the world looks from other people. That is a great point. Richard, thanks for your input. I love those points. Yeah. It is about your own biases, your own filters, and knowing when they don't serve you. And that's what today is all about. So guys, those are my 7 steps. Here's my final quote. I wanted to leave you with a nice quote. I thought it was cool. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Yeah. That's the difference between average and greatness in business. Your mind, overcome it, guys. And that's from Marcus Aurelius. I'm not sure if you ever come across Marcus Aurelius, the meditations. If you haven't, go check them out. They're really great. It really gives you some insights into how a man of, great stature from 2,000 years ago still provides insights in what we can use today, because it comes from human psychology and it's really powerful stuff. If you don't know who Marcus Aurelius was, he was the Roman emperor, or one of the Roman emperors. Guys, so if you like the content, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go to leonstreet.com/YouTube. It will redirect you to my channel where you can subscribe. And on that note, I want to appreciate and send my shouts out to everybody. Richard Chan, weekend is almost over in Melbourne. Yeah, I did remember that you were from Australia, Richard. So enjoy the last bit of your Sunday and I hope you have an amazing week ahead, guys. Thanks for watching this. Remember to give me a thumbs up, give me a heart if you're watching this on Facebook. And if you are watching it on YouTube, give me that thumbs up as well, guys. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.